Okay, students, welcome back to the plant kingdom. Okay, so our next topic discussion on rhodophyceae. Rhodophyceae. So, rhodophyceae, it is also called red algae. So, therefore, about 5,000 named species are nearly. So, in this one, 5,000 named species are there, and nearly all are marine. They range from microscopic unicellular forms to flat, ribbon-like or finely branched hair-like feathery forms, which may be more than a meter in length. Generally, so rhodophyceae species more than 1 meter length grows. They occur in both in well-lighted regions and at great depths in the oceans. So at the upper surface of the water and deeper layers of the oceans also, they can be survived. So important features. They have typical eukaryotic cell structure. Generally, they have typical eukaryotic cell structure. Generally, rhodophyceae species have typical eukaryotic cell structure. The cell wall is cellulosic. Generally, their cell wall is made up of by cellulose. So it also has polysaccharides. Those polysaccharides are called phycocolloids. Okay. So some of them rhodophyceae species contains sulfur in their body parts. So generally in these species, food is stored as a carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates are called Floridian starch. So generally Floridian starch is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. So amylopectin structure, glycogen structure, which is similar to the Floridian starch. The red algae contain chlorophyll and are photosynthetic. Generally red algae contains chlorophyll pigments. So due to the presence of chlorophyll pigments, they are photosynthetic in nature. They also have red pigment that is called phycoerythrin. Okay, that's why they are seems to be red in color. Some species may even have blue pigment. That blue pigment is called anthocyanin. Generally, here examples: Polysiphonium, Porphyra, Gracilaria, Gelidium, Chondrus have chondrus. Okay, that's all. These are all the species belongs to the Phaeophyceae. So generally Phaeophyceae reproduction. So they reproduces by fragmentation. Generally, red algae reproduces by fragmentation. This kind of a reproduction is called vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction. When the algae get broken from the holdfast, they grow and regenerate the full plant. So fragmentation, the fragmented parts when broken, though those broken parts can regenerate, can give rise to whole plant body. So generally asexual reproduction, they reproduce by non-motile spores. Asexual reproduction takes place by the non-motile spores. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and it is accompanied by complex post-fertilization events. Oogamous means what? Motile sperm, non-motile ova. Okay, in between these fertilization takes place. After that, after the fertilization, so post-fertilization development takes place. So these are all the classification of the algae. Next. Next plant kingdom. Next topic in the plant kingdom, bryophytes. So bryophytes. Bryon means mass. Phyton means plant, mass plants. After a shower of rain, the bark of trees, old walls, moist ground are often covered with a bright green carpet. So it looks like a algal scum, algal organisms from a distance. But if you go near and clearly observe, it consists of a tiny green plants. Those tiny green plants are called mosses. Generally, these mosses occurs in occurrence of mass. Generally, bryophytes are considered to be the simplest multicellular land plants. Generally, bryophytes are simplest multicellular land plants. They are called amphibians of the plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil, but they are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. That's why these are called amphibians of the plant kingdom. So they play an important role in the plant succession. So plant succession means what? So formation of plants on bare rock or soil. They flourish, they grow during rainy seasons. Generally, bryophytes grow during rainy seasons. Important features of the bryophytes. The plant body is more differentiated than that of the algae. So in the algae, the plant body is not differentiated. That's why it is called thallus-like structure. But here, so little bit differentiated, more differentiated than that algae. It is thallus-like body. So generally, bryophytes possesses thallus-like plant body. So thallus-like plant body, which could be prostrate, thallus-like body, thallus-like body. Thallus-like, the plant body could be substrate. The plant body could be prostrate, prostrate, nothing but erect. The plant body like this way, erect, and attached to the substratum, substratum nothing but soil, by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. Here, unicellular rhizoids or multicellular rhizoids. With the help of them, so this part is attached to the soil. They are very small plants and don't have true roots. Okay, generally, bryophytes are small plants. Small plants. They don't have true roots, stems, or leaves. They may possess root-like structures, stem-like structures, leaf-like structures. They have no specialized tissues. Generally, bryophytes, they don't have specialized tissues like xylem and phloem for conduction of water and other substances from one part of the another plant. Okay, so actually xylem and phloem responsible for conduction of water and food material. But like this way, structures in bryophytes are absent. The main plant body of bryophyte is haploid. It produces gametes and is called gametophyte. Generally, main plant body is so haploid. So the haploid part produces haploid gametes. That is why it is called the main plant body of the bryophytes is called gametophyte. The green structure that we see is the gametophyte. Whatever may be the green structure we will see, that is called, see here, whatever may be the green structure we will see, that is called gametophyte. It is called gametophyte. This is called gametophyte. This is called gametophyte. So the green structure that we see is the gametophyte. So on the gametophyte, sporophytes are formed. Sporophyte is formed. This sporophyte produces spores. Sporophyte. This sporophyte produces spores. Water is extremely important for fertilization. Already we have discussed. Water is extremely important for transfer of gametes. Reproduction. Okay, so generally bryophytes show alternation of generation between the gametophyte. It is called gametophyte. Gametophyte. It is called sporophyte. In between these two, it can show alternation of generation. Next, with the gametophytic being the dominant. So this gametophytic is a dominant phase. The plant body is gametophyte. So this is the plant body. This plant body is gametophyte. It can produces, it is a haploid. It produces gametes. So those gametes are haploid. So the gametophyte bears antheridia and archegonia. So here if you will see, so this is gametophyte. Okay, this part is gametophyte. This part is gametophyte. So this part bears antheridia and archegonia. This part bears antheridia. So another side, archegonia. This is antheridia. This is called archegonia. Antheridia and archegonia. Okay, antheridia and archegonia. Antheridia produces biflagellated antherozoids. Antheridia produces biflagellated. Biflagellated means what? So like this way, two flagella will be there. Those are called antherozoids, which released into the water. Okay, that's it. So where they come in contact with the archegonia. These biflagellated antherozoids comes in contact with the archegonia. So the archegonia contains single cells. An antherozoid. So biflagellated antherozoid fuses with the egg. Okay, so this antherozoid produces biflagellated antherozoid. It will be fuses with the egg, which is produced by the archegonia. As a result of that, it produces zygote. So this is single cell and antherozoid. These two are fused with each other and produces diploid zygote. It is a diploid state. So the zygote produces multicellular body, that is called, this zygote produces, see here, gradually, see here, gradually this zygote. Okay, so this zygote produces multicellular body that is called sporophyte. Okay, this is called sporophyte. Okay, so here zygote produces sporophyte. This sporophyte is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte. Okay, see here. See here, sporophyte is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte. It is sporophyte. This is attached to the, this is called gametophyte. Gametophyte. So on the gametophyte, sporophytic body is attached and gets nourishment from this body. Some cells of the sporophyte, in the sporophyte, some cells undergo different reduction division and produce reduction division. Reduction division is also called meiosis to produce spores. In this sporophyte, it undergoes meiosis division. Meiosis nothing but reductional division. Then it is diploid cells undergoes meiosis divisions and produces haploid spores. The spores are haploid, produces spores. So the spores are haploid spores. Next here, see some cells are protein. Haploid spore germinated. So these haploid spore germinated in the ground and produces again like this way structure, structure gametophyte, like this way structure gametophyte. On this gametophyte, after fertilization, again sporophyte is formed. This is called bryophytes. Next, economic importance of bryophytes. Generally, mosses, economic importance of bryophytes. See, mosses, those mosses bind soil particles, like this way bind soil and hence prevent soil erosion. Soil erosion means what? So when strong wind will blow and heavy rainfalls happens at that time due to the presence of mosses, so soil erosion is prevents. The moss that is sphagnum, it is used by the gardeners, nurseries who handle the gardens. Those people will use more and more sphagnum to keep cut plant parts during transportation. So whatever may be the plant parts are cut, those cut parts are packed in the sphagnum leaves. Okay, so and the vegetative propagation. Okay, the people who are transporting and vegetative propagation processes are doing, those people, they will use more and more sphagnum because it has absorbed that sphagnum can absorb the water 18 times more than its body. That's why. So if the sphagnum leaves are used for transporting any materials or vegetative propagating cut parts, they will absorb moisture and that particular material keep the fresh for a long time. So it is used. It is also used for packing material, for transshipment of living material. Various kinds of living material, they will be transported from one place to another place. So to pack those materials, those members will be used sphagnum because the sphagnum leaves keeps the material fresh and alive. Okay, that's why they will use sphagnum leaves because it absorbs more and more water. So this is the second economic importance. So generally classification. So bryophytes are classified into two types. Okay, bryophytes are classified into two types. Here classification. So bryophytes are classified into two types. So the class Hepatic. Example, liverworts. Another one is musky. So it includes mosses. So now we have to discuss about liverworts and mosses. With the discussion of these two, bryophytes topic gets finished. Now, liverworts, they grow usually in moist and shady places. Liverworts always grow in moist and shady places. So liverwort plant body is a thalide, like this way, thalide. The thallus is dorsal side, dorsal side, ventral side, flat and closely attached to the substratum. It is closely attached to the substratum. Some members of this group may have tiny leaf-like structures. So some members of this group, it is closely attached to the soil. Some members of this group have tiny leaf-like structures, like this way, tiny leaf-like structures. Tiny leaf-like structures. Tiny leaf-like. Some members of this group may have tiny leaf-like structures. Leaf-like appendages in 2 rows. It is 1 row, it is 1 row, 2 rows on the stem. On the stem, it is a stem-like structure. On the stem-like structure, leaves are arranged in 2 rows. So generally, asexual reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Fragmentation of thalli. Fragmentation of thalli. Asexual reproduction takes place by fragmentation of thalli or formation of special structures. Those special structures are called gemma or gemme or singular gemma. So asexual reproduction takes place by fragmentation. See here, fragmentation. So fragmentation means what? When this part cut, when this part cut, when this part cut. So each fragment can grow into a new individual. So are some conditions formation of specialized structures. So on the plant parts, there is a specialized structures are formed. So these specialized structures are called gemma. Gemma. Okay. So the gemma are green multicellular. These gemma are green multicellular asexual buds. These are all asexual buds that develop in small receptacles. Generally, gemma are green color multicellular asexual buds that develop as a small receptacles. Those are called gemma cups. These are called gemma cups. Gemma cups. So which are present on the thalli. So gemma get detached from the parent body and germinate into two new individuals. When this gemma are detached from the parental body, when it is fall on that ground, it will grow as new individual and produces same like parental organisms. Sexual reproduction occurs by the formation of male and female gametes. Generally, sexual reproduction occurs by the formation of male and female gametes. Male and female gametes. Sexual reproduction occurs by the formation of male and female gametes. Male and female gametes. See here, the sexual reproduction occurs by the formation of male and female organs, which are produced either on the same or different thalli. Okay, male gametes in some conditions produced on the same thalli or different thalli. So those organs produces male and female gametes, and fusion of these gametes leads to the formation of zygote. So for example, this is one, so it is one thalli, it is one thalli. So here, male reproductive organs are formed. On different thalli, female reproductive organs are formed. Female reproductive organs formed. So it will produce male gametes. It will produce female gametes. Both will be fused together and forms zygote. So the zygote develops into sporophyte. Okay, again the zygote developed into sporophyte. The sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta, capsule, and spore. Sporophyte. Okay, so see here the sporophyte like this way. It is thalli. So from here, sporophyte. Like this way, sporophytes are formed. Sporophytes are formed. So this sporophyte, this is called from here to here sporophyte. This sporophyte is differentiated into foot. This is called foot. This is called seta. It is called capsule. Okay, in the capsule. Okay, in the capsule, spores are formed by the meiosis divisions. Meiosis divisions. The spores germinate to form free living gametophyte. It is called free living gametophyte. So the spores germinate to form free living. This is called gametophyte. It is called from here to here sporophyte. Okay, so the spore germinated and gives rise to free living gametophyte and dependent sporophyte. Example, Rixia and Marchantia. This is the explanation about liverworts. Generally, like all bryophytes, next topic, mosses. Like all bryophytes, the predominant stage of life cycle in mosses is gametophyte. The gametophyte consists of 2 stages. See here, like all bryophytes, here what formed the predominant earlier stage of life cycle in mosses is called gametophyte. This is called gametophyte. In this gametophyte, it has 2 stages. it has two stages. The first stage is the protonema stage, which develops directly from the spore. So in this one, two stages are there. So the first stage is called, this is called first stage. The first stage is called protonema stage, which is developed from the spore. This is called spore. The spore gives rise to protonema, protonema stage. Okay, so the protonema is a creeping on ground, green, branch, and frequently filamentous in nature. It consists of a thread-like structures, filamentous in nature, thread-like structures. The second stage is a leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema. So this primary protonema gradually converted into a secondary protonema. Okay, so the secondary stage of leafy stage, which develops from the secondary primary protonema gradually converted into secondary protonema. Secondary protonema gradually converted into second stage that is called leafy stage. This is called leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral buds. It consists of upright, like this way, upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. So this is what here see like this way, spiral. It consists of upright, slender, thin axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. So these are attached to the soil. These are attached to the soil through multicellular branched rhizoids. These are called rhizoids. This stage bears sex organs. Here, sex organs are present. So those sex organs like this way. The sex organs are antheridia and archegonia. The sex organs are called antheridia and archegonia. This is female. This is male. Antheridia and archegonia. That produce at the apex of the leafy shoot. Apex at the end of the leafy shoots. So it will produce this male gamete. It will produce this female gametes. In between them, fertilization takes place. After fertilization, the zygote develops. Here, zygote is formed. After fertilization, the zygote is formed. So this zygote develops into the sporophyte. So this zygote, the zygote is converted into zygote. The zygote is converted into sporophyte. So sporophyte, how here formed? See here, sporophyte. Gradually here what formed? Sporophyte is formed like this way. This is called sporophyte. Oh, so the sporophyte, it consists of foot. This part is called foot. Already I discussed. This is called seta. It is called capsule. Okay, so spores are formed in the capsule. Inside the capsule, spores are formed. Spores are formed in the capsule. After meiosis, the capsule opens into release spores. This capsule opens and releases spores, which germination gives rise to. So this capsule releases spores. When the spores are fall on the ground, germinate, and again this life cycle starts. Okay, vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation and budding of the secondary protonema. So during the secondary primary protonema, spore is converted into, this is the spore. This is the spore. This spore is converted into primary protonema. Primary protonema converted into secondary protonema. This secondary protonema gradually turned to be a gametophyte. Okay, so that's all. So vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. When this part is cut into fragments, or here some kinds of buds are formed. So the secondary protonema gradually turn to be bud-like structures. So that bud gives rise to a new mosses. Example, Funaria, Polytrichum, Sphagnum, etc. Okay, next topic, pteridophytes occurrence. They have well-developed. They have well-developed stems and leaves and more advanced than bryophytes. These are more advanced. The most familiar pteridophytes familiar pteridophytes, developed beautiful green fern grown in every garden. They are abundant in forest pteridophytes. Generally, so green fern, it is available in every garden. Their population is more in forest. Pteridophytes are the green ferns grown in everywhere in forest. So especially in humid tropical conditions and hill stations, they grow in moist and shady and cool humid conditions. They will grow very nicely. There are about 12,000 named species of ferns. They ranging from small aquatic plants to giant farms. They grow tropical forests that may grow to over 30 to 40 feet, height. Pteridophytes generally include horsetails and ferns are called pteridophytes. Okay, that's all. So next here, if you will see, there are about 12,000 named species. Okay, it is finished. Next, important features. So pteridophytes are basically land plants. They grow well in moist, shady, and cool places. The plant body is differentiated into true roots, stem, and leaf-like structure. Leaf-like structures. Xylem transports water and phloem. Xylem transports water and phloem translocates food materials from leaves to various parts of the plants. The main plant body is sporophyte. The main plant body is sporophyte. The main plant body is sporophyte, which has true roots, stems, and leaves with vascular tissues. The gametophyte is reduced to a small prothallus. So in the main plant body is sporophyte. In that sporophyte, the gametophyte is reduced to small, simple prothallus. The small, simple prothallus. This is called gametophyte. The plants exhibit alternation of generation with the sporophyte being dominant. Generally, in these pteridophytes, so in the plants exhibit alternation of generation with the sporophyte being the dominant. So see here, sporophyte. Sporophyte means what? Sporophyte. Roots, stem, and leaf-like structures are called sporophytes. In this sporophyte, in between the sporophytes and the gametophyte, the plant life cycle is alternates with each other. The stem of the most ferns, except the stem of the most fern, except tree fern, is an underground. In most of the ferns, except tree fern, the stem is underground, below the ground. In the below the ground, horizontally growing, that is called rhizome. Okay, that's all. The rhizome produce numerous roots. Those numerous roots are called adventitious roots. So generally like this way, rhizome. This rhizome gradually turn to be a root-like structure. So that will produce numerous roots. Those numerous roots are called adventitious roots. Adventitious roots. In adiantum, whenever leaf surface comes in contact with soil, see for example, like this way, adiantum leaf will be like that way. When this leaf surface comes in contact with soil, here roots are formed. And again, leaves are formed. When this leaf surface comes in contact, here roots are formed. Like this way, it will be walks. That's why it is called walking fern. Okay. See here, in adiantum, whenever leaf surface touches the soil surface, it gives out to adventitious roots above leaf. Hence, it is called walking fern. It is continuously like this way, walking fern. It continuously forms leaves above the ground, roots below the ground. The size of the leaves in pteridophytes varies considerably. The sizes are varies. In Selaginella, the leaves are very small. Those small leaves are called microphyls. In fern, the leaves are large. Those leaves are called macrophyls. Generally, the ferns may have different types of leaves, fronds, different types of fronds. Fronds means what? Leaves. different types of fronds. Those fronds are nothing but leaves. Next, life cycle of Selaginella and Equisetum. So the life cycle of Selaginella, so see, we will see. In Selaginella, the main plant body is called sporophyte. 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 This is sporophyte. This is called sporophyte. It gives out leaf-like structures. Leaf-like structures. Leaf-like structures. Those leaf-like structures are called sporophylls. Sporophylls. The sporophylls forms specific compact structures. Those sporophylls, these sporophylls forms specific compact structures. Compact structures. Those compact structures are called strobili. Those strobili also called cones. So these sporophylls bear a sporangia. The sporophyll forms a compact structure that is called strobili. This is strobili. This is called sporophyll. This sporophyll bear a sac-like structure. This strobili gradually converted into a sac-like structure. The sac-like structure, sporophyll bears a sac-like structure that is called sporangia. This is called sporangia. So this sporangia produces a number of spores. Spore-like structures. Number of spores. Those spores are produced by meiosis in the spore mother cells. Hence, spores are haploid. These spores are haploid. So these haploid spores are germinate, gives rise to inspecific, inconspicuous, not visible, spore germinate and gives rise to invisible, small, but multicellular free-living gametophyte. That is called prothallus. That is called like this way, small, invisible, multicellular free-living gametophytic structure. That is called prothallus. When the spores are of only one, the plant is called homosporous. So generally, when the plant produces only one type of spores, those spores are called homosporous. When the spores are of only one, the plant is called homosporous. Selaginella and Salvinia. Both produces two kinds of spores. Those are called megaspores and microspores. Some plants produces only one type of spores. Those are called homosporous. Some plants produces two types of spores. Those are called megaspores and microspores. Hence, these kind of plants are called heterosporous plants. So, megaspores and microspores. Megaspores germinate into a female gametophyte. So, it is retained on the parent body only, on parent sporophyte only, on the sporophyte on parental body only for some time. Microspores germinate into male gametophyte. So, microspores germinate into male gametophytes. Just like in fern, the gametophytes bear male and female parts. Those are called male and female reproductive parts, male and female organs called archegonia. So next, water is essential for fertilization. Generally, water is absolutely essential for fertilization. Antheridia released. Antheridia are male sex organs. Those released male sex cells into the water. So those are reached up to the archegonia and fuse with the egg cell forming zygote. So here see from the parent body, male receives male reproductive organs into the water. Female receives female reproductive cells into the water. In the water, both are fused with each other and forms zygote. So zygote produces multicellular, well-differentiated sporophyte. So that zygote after formation of male and female, after fusion of male and female gametes, zygote is formed. So the zygote produces multicellular, well-differentiated sporophyte. That is called dominant phase. That is called dominant phase. Okay, so this is the explanation about pteridophytes. Next, gymnosperms. The term gymnosperms means naked seeds. Naked seeds. So we can be seen with our naked eye that develop in the exposed positions at the surface of the scales, at the surface of the leafy scales, rather than in the protective wall of the ovary. Rather than the protective wall of the ovary. So those are produced on the scaly leaves. Okay, that's all. So generally, gymnosperms are present all over the world, account for about 1/3 of the world's forest. 1/3 of the world's forest, those are available. Okay, so major groups seen nowadays are cycads and conifers. These two are the major gymnosperms. They maintain their dominance in other colder regions of the world. Colder regions of the world, they place a major dominance, where snow rather than rain is a source of water. Okay, generally where snow is available rather than the rain, so the snow is a source of water for the gymnosperms. The characteristic features of the gymnosperms. So the characteristic features of the gymnosperms are the ovules are not enclosed by a ovary wall. So this is ovary wall. With this ovary wall, those seeds are not enclosed. So those are all the seeds are visible. So those are all the seeds. These are all the seeds like this, with the seeds are visible. The seeds are visible. So both before and after fertilization, before the fertilization and after the fertilization, the ovules are visible, not enclosed by ovary wall. Hence, after fertilization, the seeds are formed and are not enclosed by a ovary or fruit and remain exposed before and after fertilization. Generally, they don't bear fruits, as there is no ovary. Generally, gymnosperms don't bear fruits because ovary is not there. That's why, so they don't bear fruits. All have well-developed xylem tracheids. Generally, gymnosperms have well-developed xylem tracheids. Through these, some kinds of water molecules are transported to various parts of the plant. So all are perennials. Gymnosperms survives more than 1 year. So living for many years. So here, annual plants can live 1 year. Biennial plants, they can survive 2 years. Perennial plants, they can survive more than 1 year and grow to form woody trees and bushy shrubs. Okay, so none are herbs or annuals. Almost all the plants are perennial plants. One of the gymnosperms, that is giant redwood tree, sequoia. It is known to be one of the tallest tree species among the gymnosperms. So gymnosperms generally have taproot system. Gymnosperms generally have taproot system. See, taproot system means what? It is a one long roots. So the roots of some genera have fungal association. So some species of the roots are associated with the fungus. This kind of association is called symbiotic association. Roots of cycas have small specialized roots. Those are called corallite roots. So which are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. So roots of pinus have symbiotic association with the fungal species. That kind of association is called mycorrhiza. So the stem may be unbranched, as in cycas, or branched, as in pinus, or cedrus. So in these, the leaves may be simple leaves or compound leaves. So the plant is heterosporous. Heterosporous means what? Different spores, microspores, megaspores, which means gives rise to two types of spores, microspores and megaspores. So generally cones bear the sporophylls, which bear sporangia in which spores are developed. So already we have discussed cones. So cone-like structure, the cone like this way, cone-like structure. The cones bear the sporophylls. This cone bears sporophyll. This is called sporophyll. This is called cones. The cones bear sporophylls. So which bear sporangia? This is bears sporangia. Here leaf-like, sac-like structure will be there. This is called sporangia. This is called sporangia. This is called. In the sporangia, spores are developed by meiosis. The sexual reproduction does not require water because in the gymnosperms, so the reproductive organs are pollen grains. Pollen grains are carried by wind. So the pollen grains carried by the winds, which contains male gametes. When pollen grains are germinated, it gives rise to two male gametes. Examples of gymnosperms, cycads, cycas, cedrus, conifers, pinus, etc. So formation of seed. So in gymnosperms, how the seed is formed, that is what here we will discuss. So all gymnosperms produce two types of spores. One type of spores are called microspores, another one is megaspores. Hence, gymnosperms are called heterosporous. So first spores are produced by sporangia. So sporangia formed on leaf-like structure, that is called sporophylls. Sporophyle bears sporangia, sporangia bears spores. Already we have discussed. So sporophylls are arranged spirally along long axis to form a compact structure that is called strobili. See here. So this is sporophyll. This sporophyll arranged along long axis like spirally. These are like this way. These are called sporophylls. These are called sporophylls. So and finally it bears cone-like structure. These are called cones or strobili. The strobili are cones bearing microsporophylls and microsporangia. So these will bear microsporophylls and microsporangia. Those are called male strobili or male cones. Next, the strobili are cones bearing megasporophylls, megasporangia. Those are called female strobili or female cones. Some are bears male cones, some are bears female cones. Male cone is called microsporophylls, microsporangia. Female cones are called megasporophylls, megasporangia. Okay, that's all. Next here. See, the male and female strobili or cones could be present on the same tree. In some plants, both are present on the same tree. In some plants, present in different tree. So if different tree, example cycas, on the same tree, pinus. So male sporophyll are male cones. So bearing microsporophylls. So microsporophylls and microsporangia. Male sporophylls, microsporophylls, those are also called microsporangia. So microsporangium produces microsporophyll or microsporangium. It produces pollen sacs. So each pollen sac produces number of micro or male gametes. Those male gametes are called pollen grains. Each pollen grain contains two male gametes. Each pollen grain consists of two male gametes. Okay, this is the explanation about male sporophyll. Now we will see female sporophyll. So female sporophyll, it bears megasporophylls or megasporangium. So megasporangium is called ovule. So ovule in a seed plants. In the seed plants, ovule is called megasporangium. Each ovule has megaspore mother cell. This is the ovule. In this one, megaspore mother cell is present. Megaspore mother cell is present. This megaspore mother cell, which divides and gives rise to multicellular female gametophyte. So this female gametophyte is called embryo sac. Okay, so that's all. This is a female sporophylls. Next, process of fertilization. See here, process of fertilization. So here pollen grains consist of two male gametes. The pollen grains are carried by the wind in gymnosperms. These pollen grains are reached to the stigma of the pollen grain. These pollen grains are reaching a stigma. Stigma means what here? See, everybody knows that. So this is ovary. Okay, here it is called stigma. On the stigma, pollen grains are landed. Here germinated. So pollen grains germinate and produces pollen tube. Okay, so pollen grain germinated and And here, like this way, pollen tube are formed. This is called pollen tube. So this pollen tube carrying two male gametes. These two are called male gametes. So it passes through the pore hole that is called micropyle. See, here we have to see one explanation, that is, see. So see here. So here, ovule. This is called ovule. This is called ovule. Okay, like this way, ovule is located. From here, stigma are present. So here, pollen tube travel. Pollen tube travel. The pollen tubes. This is the pollen grain germinated and pollen tube travel. This pollen tube travel and reach to the ovule. This is the pollen tube reach to the, this is the ovule, reach to the ovule. Through this hole is called micropyle. Okay, so it means what? Pollen tube passes through the pore, that is called micropyle. This is called micropyle. Micropyle. So and fertilizes the egg. How fertilization takes place? So the fertilization leads to the formation of zygote which develops within the ovule. See, it is ovule. This part is ovule. One male gamete is fused with the egg cell. Egg cell. So one more male gamete is fused with another nucleus. Okay, like this way. So here fertilization within the ovule takes place. So a seed is fertilizer ovule. After fertilization, so the ovary gradually produces ovules. The ovule gradually turns to be a seed. So a seed is fertilized ovule. The ovule wall forms the seed coat. The ovule wall, outer layer of the ovule forms the seed coat. During the development, nutrition is taken from the parent plant, that is sporophyte. Sporophyte provides nutrients to the ovules. Okay, so develop the nutrition is taken from the parent plant, that is the sporophyte, to which it is still attached. Sporophyte is still attached to the parent soil. So after maturation, the seed is shaped. This is the explanation about gymnosperms. Okay, next topic, angiosperms. So in angiosperms, the pollen grains and ovules develop in special structures. Those are called flowers. In gymnosperms, the ovules and pollen grains are developed in microsporophylls and megasporophylls. But here, those are developed in special structures. Those structures are called flowers. So these seeds are enclosed in angiosperms. The seeds are enclosed in the fruit. Variations in angiosperms. So smallest angiosperm is Olfia. Olfia is 1 millimeter in diameter. It is microscopic. It has a tiny, flat, oval green stem with a few small roots, generally found in floating ponds. So next, the tallest angiosperms, that is eucalyptus. It is about 1 meter tall, 100 meters tall, 100 meters tall. This is also called Nilagiri, 100 meters tall. Okay, that's it. Next, the largest angiosperms, that is called banyan tree. Generally here one printing mistake, it is 100 meters tall. So next, the largest angiosperm, that is called banyan tree. So that is Ficus bengalensis. It is only found in Kolkata. It has the protrudes which supports the branches and it spreads large surface area. The scientific name of banyan tree is Ficus bengalensis. Next, structure of a flower. So generally the flower is a specific reproductive structure of the angiosperms. The male sex organs in a flower is called stamen, while the female sex organs in the flower is called pistil or carpel. A complete flower has 4 parts. Those are sepals or colored out parts. See here, so like this way, this way. These are called outermost parts. These are called sepals. These are called sepals. Sepals. Next, Petals. Next one is called petals. These are called petals. These are called petals. Like this way. These are called petals. Petals have various functions, most being to help in pollination. These are emit sweet fragrance to which insects are attracts and involved in pollination. Stamen is a male sex organ of a flower. So it is ovary. Here stamen. It is here stamen. These are called stamen. So stamen is a male sex organ of a flower. This is called stamen. Stamen consists of two parts: filament, and anther. So carpel or pistil. This is the central part is called carpel or pistil. It is the male sex organ of a flower. It is male. Sorry, carpel or pistil. It is the female sex organ of a flower. This is called female sex organ of a flower. So the anthers after meiosis produces pollen grains. See here, this is the anther. So this is the anther. This anther produces pollen grains after meiosis. See here, a stamen has a slender filament. See here already said a stamen has a, this is called slender filament. With anther at its tip. This is anther at its tip. A carpel or pistil has ovary. This is called ovary. That encloses one or more ovules. Here, more ovules will be there. More ovules in some species. More ovules will be there in some species. Few ovules are there. Few ovules are present. Within ovule is present highly reduced gametophyte. Within the ovule, this is ovule. So this is called ovule. Within the ovule, so gametophyte is present. That gametophyte is called embryo sac. Embryo sac. Okay. Formation of a seed. So each of the cell of the embryo sac is haploid. Generally, embryo sac is haploid. Within the ovule, there is a gametophyte is present. That gametophyte is called embryo sac. That embryo sac is haploid state. Each embryo sac has 8 cells. See, this is called embryo sac. This embryo sac has 8 cells. 3 haploid antipodals. Okay, so two polar nuclei. These two are called diploid secondary nucleus. So next here, middle egg cell, these are called synergies. This is called egg cell. These two are called synergies. Synergies are 2. So here, 3 antipodals, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 1, 6, 6 plus 2, 8. Totally 8 cells are present. So pollination. So how pollination takes place? So pollen grains after dispersal from the anther get carried by wind, water, insects, or other agencies to the stigma of a pistil. See here, this is called ovary. This is called ovary. This is called ovary. So this is ovary. This is style. It is called stigma. When the pollen grains are landed on the stigma, here these pollen grains are germinated and forms a long, small tube. Long, small tube. That long, small tube is called pollen tube. Pollen tube. The pollen tube passes through the style and reaches the ovule. Inside the ovary, what will be there? Ovules are present. The pollen tube passes through the style and reaches the ovule present inside the ovary. So this is called pollination. Process of fertilization. Each pollen tube has 2 male gametes. Pollen tube has, see, like this way, pollen tube. Each pollen tube, it is called pollen tube. The pollen tube consists of 2 male gametes. So inside the ovule, it is called ovule. Inside the ovule, what will be there? Embryo sac will be there. Everybody knows that. Okay, so 3 antipodals, 2 polar nuclei. This is one egg cell. Here 2 synergids will be there. So Here what happened? So pollen tube enters the ovule through the micropyle. This hole is called micropyle. Micropyle. So on reaching the ovary, the pollen tube releases two male gametes. The two male gametes are reached to here. Two male gametes are, this is pollen tube. So two male gametes are reached to here. So one male gamete fuses with egg cell. One male gamete fuses with one egg cell and forms secondary nucleus. Zygote. It is zygote. It produces diploid zygote. Next, another male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus. Here, two polar nuclei fuse with each other and turn to be secondary nucleus. So one more male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus and forms triploid nucleus. It produces diploid zygote and processes C. Another male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus and it produces triploid primary endosperm nucleus. This is the 3N primary endosperm nucleus. So here this is called first fertilization, this is called second fertilization. Here two fertilization takes place. In angiosperms, two fertilizations takes place. In angiosperms, two fertilization takes place. So these two fertilizations is called double fertilization. Double fertilization. Okay, so that's it. So double fertilization. Since the process of fertilization occurs twice in the embryo sac, it is called double fertilization. It is unique event of angiosperms. In the angiosperms only it takes place. The zygote develops into embryo. So first time zygote is formed. This zygote is developed into embryo. So the primary endosperm nucleus gradually turn primary endosperm nucleus gradually turn to be endosperm. So which provides nourishment to this endosperm provides nourishment to the embryo in angiosperms. The synergids and antipodals degenerates after fertilization. See, this is called embryo sac. These are called egg cells. These are called synergids. One synergid, these are two synergids and egg cells. Three antipodals. These polar nuclei. So these synergids, antipodals are degenerates after fertilization. So after fertilization, what are the changes takes place? Changes after fertilization. So see here. So this is called ovule. This is called ovule. So this ovule develops into three seeds. Develop into the seeds. The seed contains embryo. So during the formation of fruit, rest of the flower withers away. Okay. So these ovules are converted into seed. The seed contains inside embryo. Okay, so the zygote is converted into embryo. We discussed. The ovary develops into, so the outside, this entire ovary develops into a fruit. So this ovule, the ovule gradually develops into seed. Ovary develops into fruit. The ovary wall forms fruit wall, that is called pericarp. This is called pericarp. Inside the ovule is gradually developed into seed. So this is the explanation about angiosperms. Okay, so last and final topic, plant life cycle and alternation of generation. Generally, plant life cycle occurs in many algae like volvox, Spirogyra, and some species of chlamydomonas. In these many species, so alternation of generation takes place. Okay, so plant life cycle and alternation of generation takes place. In these, the dominant phase in life cycle is photosynthetic free living gametophyte. Okay, so in these algae, volvox, Spirogyra, so the dominant phase is in the life cycle is photosynthetic free living gametophyte. In these, the dominant phase in life cycle is photosynthetic free living gametophyte. So photosynthetic free living, this is photosynthetic free living, this is photosynthetic free living gametophyte. It is photosynthetic free living gametophyte. Sporophyte generation is only by one-celled zygote. See, sporophyte, it is sporophyte. In this one, only one-celled zygote. Okay. So generally this that this zygote gradually turn to be a sporophyte. So there are no free living. There are no free living sporophytes. There are no free living sporophytes. This is sporophyte always depends upon gametophyte. So this is called sporophyte. Sporophyte. There are no free living sporophytes. Sporophytes always depends upon gametophyte. Generally, here meiosis in the zygote. Here zygote is formed. So meiosis in the zygote results in the formation of haploid spores. So in the zygote, meiosis division takes place as a result of that. So formation of haploid spores. The haploid spores divides mitotically and form gametophyte. So this is called gametophyte. So the gametophyte is a dominant free living. This dominant. It is gametophyte. It is dominant free living. It is photosynthetic phase. Hence, it is called haplontic life cycle. So this gametophytic phase produces sporophyte. This sporophyte produces haploid spores. This haploid spore germinated and gives haploid gametophyte. That is why it is called haplontic life cycle. Haplontic life cycle. Okay, that's it. So here, plant life cycles and alternation of generations are three types. One is haplontic life cycle. Haplontic life cycle. That is, this is what haplontic life cycle. Next, the second one is diplontic life cycle. Diplontic life cycle. Third one is haplodiplontic life cycle. These three life cycles, if you will see, that is called alternation of generation. So here already haplontic life cycle we have seen. Now we will see diplontic life cycle. So it occurs in diplontic life cycle occurs in seed-bearing plants like gymnosperms and angiosperms. So these two are diplontic life cycle generally shows. In these, dominant phase in the life cycle is a diploid sporophytic phase. So diploid sporophytic phase means what? This is diploid sporophytic phase. It represents roots to stems to leaves. It is the other extreme haplontic life cycle. It is seed-bearing plants. In these, the dominant phase in the life cycle is a diplontic sporophytic phase. It is the other extreme of the haplontic life cycle. That means what? After the haplontic life cycle, it is the diplontic life cycle. The sporophyte is the dominant. So roots, stems, leaves are dominant and photosynthetic. So these three are dominants. It can be performed photosynthetic. Independent phase of the plant. So these three are independent. They themselves independent. Independent phase. That means what? They are free living. So the gametophytic phase is represented by the single to few cellular. That is called haploid gametophyte. So on the sporophyte, this is called gametophyte. On the sporophyte, this is called sporophyte. It is called gametophyte. So the gametophytic phase is dependent on sporophyte. The gametophyte is dependent on sporophyte. That is why the gametophyte phase is represented by single to few cellular haploid gametophyte. It is a haploid gametophyte. So the plant is basically in the diploid sporophytic phase. The sporophytic phase is diploid. The sporophytic phase is diploid. See, the plant is the gametophytic phase is represented by the gametophytic phase is represented by single to few celled haploid gametophyte. Next, the plant is basically in the diploid. The plant is basically diploid. The main plant body is basically diploid sporophytic phase. That's why it is called diplontic life cycle. The diplontic life cycle commonly seen in gymnosperms and angiosperms. Next, haplodiplontic life cycle. So haplodiplontic life cycle, it occurs in bryophytes and pteridophytes. So generally, it is alternates. It is an intermediate. Haplodiplontic life cycle is in between haplontic diplontic cycle occurs. It is an intermediate condition between haplontic and diplontic condition. Both the phases are multicellular. Okay, haplontic, diplontic both are multicellular. So in bryophytes, it is a dominant phase. In bryophytes, dominant, independent. Photosynthetic. Thalloid or erect phase represented by haploid gametophytic phase. Haploid gametophytic phase. It is haploid gametophytic phase. It is haploid gametophytic phase. It is a dominant, independent, means free living. It can be performed photosynthetic. Thalloid or erect phase represented by haploid gametophytic phase. haploid gametophyte phase. Next, this haploid gametophytic phase is alternates with short-lived multicellular sporophyte. So here sporophyte. So this is sporophyte. Sporophyte. It alternates with short-lived multicellular sporophyte, totally or partially dependent on gametophyte. This sporophyte is dependent on gametophyte. Gametophyte for its support and nutrition. Okay, that's all. So this is in bryophytes. In pteridophytes. So in pteridophytes, a dominant, independent, photosynthetic vascular plant body is represented by diploid sporophyte. Okay, diploid in pteridophytes. So diploid. So the gametophyte. So see here. Here. So a dominant, independent, photosynthetic vascular plant body. It is represented by diploid sporophyte. Diploid sporophyte. So this diploid sporophyte alternates with short-lived multicellular gametophyte. So here it produces gametes. Here it produces gametes. Okay, this sporophyte is alternates with short-lived multicellular gametophyte. This is called gametophyte phase. Gametophyte. That is saprophyte. This is a saprophyte. Saprophytic means what? Saprophytic are autotropic independent. Saprophytic. They may dependent on others or some conditions. Autotropic. They themselves prepare food materials. Autotropic independent phase. Independent phase means what? It depends on sporophytic phase. This is called haplodiploidic life cycle. With this, the complete information about plant kingdom is finished.